In today's class, we will be learning about iterative loops. So there are three types of iterative loops: while loop, for loop, and do while loop. So it's important for everyone to understand that syntax is just a basic mandatory steps, and you don't need to worry so much about syntaxes because it doesn't contain much of any logic. But there are few statements that is mandatory. Every iterative loop has this few conditional statements such as initialization, declaration, initialization or declaration, and a condition, and it has a body and it has an updation. Now, the order of these arrangements actually change the name of these loops. Now, while loop has this specific format. It has initialization first and then condition next and then the body and then the updation. Similarly, there is for loop. Now, for loop has these statements designed in another fashion. They have all these statements in one line. And for do while, the body is up and the condition is below the body. So just because of these statements are positioned in different way, they altogether perform in a bit different manner. But the basic thing you need to understand is that no matter what loop it is, everything has this initialization, condition, body, and updation, and only the way they are positioned, only it changes the way how they work. General while loop syntax, how would it look? So in the while loop, first we are going to have initialization, and then we use the keyword while, and then we write condition in brackets. Then we open a flower parenthesis for the body, and in the end of the body, we also update. Now I'll just let you know a small example which could fit in for all three for loops. Now let's imagine there's a guy named Adam, and he need to run around a track. Okay. So what is that? Initially, when he doesn't run the track, the total count of he running the track is 0, right? He didn't run any track, so the count would be 0. Now once he completes the track, he updates his count to 1 because he did run the track for one time. Now the aim of this Adam is to complete the track 5 times. So every time he makes a round, he increases his count. Now once he increases his count, he do check for himself that if he completed the track, if he completed running of the track 5 times. If he didn't run for the 5 times, he's going to run once again. Now once again the count is going to be increased. And once again he checks with the condition like, okay, did he run the track 5 times? No. If it's no, he's going to run the track once again. But at some point he's going to meet the condition that he has run the track 5 times. So that moment he ain't going to run the track anymore. So that's how exactly this condition works. So initialization is part where we actually initialize some variables. Now for the example that we have spoke about little earlier, Adam, initially he has run 0 tracks, right? So instead of Adam, I'm just writing a variable A. So let's consider that we are initializing the value 0 to Adam because he didn't run the track. Now what is the condition that which avoids him to running the track? If he has run the track for the 5 times, then he don't need to run the track anymore. So if A is less than 5, he need to run the track. If A is not less than 5, he doesn't need to run the track. So in our example, running the track means the getting into the body, and once he run the track for 5 times, then he doesn't need to get into the body anymore. So instead of, as we can't physically make anything run here, we'll just print that he ran the track. Adam ran the track how many times? So here we would just increase the value. We'll show how many times he did complete the track, and then we'll print to next line. So here we are just printing a statement. How many times did Adam run the track? Adam ran the track A plus 1, which means once he get into the body, it means that he ran the track for 1 time. Now we humanly we know that we need to update our value, right? Once we run, we are going to increase the count plus 1, but in the program we need to explicitly do that. So after at the end of the body, which means in our example, once he ran the track, then in the end of the body, we are going to actually increase the value of A. So you can do it in 3 different ways. plus plus a plus plus, or a equal to a plus 1, anything's gonna be completely fine. I'm using a plus plus. So now if you run this very statement, how it does that, it prints in this very way. That's Adam ran the track 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yes, yes. So now Adam ran the track 5 times. So what happens is a is initialized with 0 and then gets into the condition. It checks if a is less than 5. If it's true, then body of while is going to be executed. So now see out Adam ran the track is going to be executed, and here I have used 3 cout statements in writing them in only one statement. Now here, in order to get 1, as we know that the value is starting with 0, so I have increased the value a plus 1 when I am printing them. So after that, in the updation part, I have written a plus plus. So now by this way, this is how while loop generally works. Now let's come into the for loop. Now let's get into the for loop. So if you can see that in while loop, we had initialization above, and then we had a condition in the while, and there was updation in the body. But whereas for, after the keyword for, in the brackets, all three initialization, condition, and updation are together, divided by semicolon. Just semicolon keeps them apart from being a same statement. And then there's a body of for loop. Here you can write the body. So if you talk for the very same example, let's put on the very same value. So it's exactly same. The initialization and declaration can be done here. So in the we will copy all the statements that we have used for while loop. So initialization that. Now let's check for the condition. Now here in the condition, we'll change the condition, the same condition that we have put for while, and updation. We have done the updation part in the end of the body, but here we'll, oh shit, it would be a plus plus, right? Here updation, we would just replace that with the updation value that we have used there, and the body. So body. So that's it. That's how you get for loop. So while for loop, do while, all are same. It's just the placement of these condition statements, initialization and all. And we'll run this very same, and we are going to have the very same output that we had for the while loop. So here you see Adam ran the track 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is what for loop is. Just the now why exactly, then what's much difference in while loop and for loop is that initially first while loop was developed, and then in while loop you can see that initialization is above the condition and the updation value is so below the body, in the body but in the ending part of the body. But just in case if you write some lengthy programs and you might forget to update the value, but whereas for as you need to write everything in one statement, so there isn't much possibility for anyone to forget this. And we use while loop generally to frame infinite loops. So how to exactly frame infinite loop is, in the above example, our loop has run totally for the 5 times. So if you want to write an infinite loop, you need to write while any constant value. Generally what is the true is, any numerical that is not 0 gives an output of true. And if only a numerical value 0 is meant to be false. So when it is while 0, and if I write cout high, then no, I won't be having any output because while 0 means false. So this is that the while loop has run for 0 times. But instead of 0, if I use 1, then it's going to fall under a condition called infinite loop, because this is going to be true forever as I don't have any updation value here. So the value is never getting updated. So now you can see here the output is going crazy. So this keeps printing high forever until and unless this memory runs out. So I'm just stopping this.
One eternity later.
Yeah, good. So in order to make something infinite loop, all you need to do is you need to make sure that condition is going to be true for so much amount of time. Now you achieve that just by placing a constant value in the conditional statement. Now this is how exactly for loop works. Now similarly the design of do while is, but the difference between do while, for and while is that for while loop and for loop, you write the body after the conditional statements. But for do while, you write body first and then you write the conditional statement. So it looks a little weird, but it's true. So this is the do while. So now by writing body first before the condition, what happens is that the body is executed at least once, no matter what condition you place. Because in the while loop, first you check for the condition, and only if the condition is true, then you get into the body of while. And it goes same for the for loop. But for do while, as the body is coming before the condition, so the body is executed by the compiler. Now, if the condition is false, then the body is not going to be executed anymore. But if the condition is true, then once again the execution starts from the body. So you see, at least the body is going to get executed at least once. Now, with the very same example values and all, you see, we are just going to replace this initialization and declaration paths. Int a equals to 0, and we'll, in the place of conditional statement, while we will place the condition that we have used for all the two examples above. And in the updation part, we'll just have updation, and in the body, we are updating our body. So you see, just by using one example, we could actually solve all these three syntax workings. So the reason I've been copying in every example for while and do while is that I wanted you to understand that this doesn't have any logic. All it has a syntax. Now, the way the syntax is designed is different because the way in the end how they perform, how they operate is same, but the reason that they are little different is because of the way they are designed. Now this doesn't matter in terms of your programming, especially in competitive programming. Mostly you will be using for loops, but in case for university exams and college exams, this might be some important questions while, do while, for loop. So the important aspect you need to remember is they are just designed differently, and do while behaves a bit different from while loop and for loop because the body comes before the condition statement. So that's the reason the body is executed at least once. So here, let's run this. Okay, here I didn't place the semicolon, so we are going to get an error. Okay, I think so. Here you can see Adam ran the track 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let's keep this condition false, okay, while 0, which means that the condition is false. Now let's run this very same code again. Oh my god. So here, if you can see, Adam ran the track 1, which means that the body of do while is going to be executed at least once. As I've said, the compiler has to come through the body in order to get to the condition. So the body is executed. So that's the reason we are having an output. Adam ran the track for once, and after that it checks for the condition and it is false. But if you write this very same condition for while loop and for loop, the body is not going to be executed at least once, so you won't be having any output as you got for the do while. So these are the pretty three syntaxes that we'll be using for iterative loops. And in the next class, we'll be learning about functions, and after that recursion, and then we will be getting into data structures. Thank you. Happy coding.